Good afternoon and welcome at this Spark Students Conference. My name is Victor van der Hulst. I'm the program manager of Spark Living Lab and I'm very proud that I'm here today to open this conference with a live audience here. Very cool. And I'm also very happy that we are able to host this at a physical location here at Windesheim today, and also to actually meet the students in real life. And Spark is all about exploring the application of data sharing technologies, blockchain, IoT, in supply chain and logistics. So in co-creation with companies and students, researchers, education, we developed several use cases related to data sharing challenges. And as a living lab, we were hit hard by Corona, as you can imagine, because it limited us in establishing real life hubs at a physical location to actually collaborate with all stakeholders in the development and running experiments in real life. And precisely because of that, I'm even more proud that today we can share the outcomes of the work carried out by all the students this semester. And I'm not going to keep you up any longer, but before we move on, of course, I'd like to thank all the students for all their contributions to the project you made. Under difficult circumstances, of course, you created very relevant outcomes, results, that you are all going to present this afternoon. So thank you very much, and also the supervisors who helped you during this semester. Good luck with your study, and of course, take care. And now I'm going to hand it over to Maxime, our Spark Living Lab manager, and he will host the rest of this event. Maxime.
I will. I will not speak a lot right now. Victor said it all already. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your work and commitment during so many months. Your understanding of our structure, living structure, evolving structure. And I'm obviously not here alone today because there's also Chris, which is online. Are you here, Chris?
Yes.
Very good. We can hear you loud and clear. Can you say a few things? Do you have a few things to say to open this event?
Yes. All right. Thank everybody for showing up in person, and then also the people that are online. I hope that everybody that is listening in and hearing this, seeing these successes, things, well, that may be easy, but as these students have come to know, it was a very hard and dangerous path. So I will quote Winston Churchill in saying, "Success consists of going from failure to failure without a loss of enthusiasm." And I think if you speak to any of the students, they will totally agree with me here. It has been a very troubling road. Of repeatedly failing and failing again until it actually worked. So I'm insanely proud to see all these successes here today, and for the students to show off their work, knowing that to get there have been a tremendous optimism and determination in order to get there. So big applause to my students and everybody participating in the lab for getting here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Encouraging words. Indeed, it was not easy. And well, without further ado, actually, because we have quite a tight schedule. Is this not working anymore when it should? Guys, the clicker doesn't work.
Don't lose your enthusiasm.
I'm not losing it at all. Well, I can do it without the slide, actually. We have quite a tight schedule today, as 6 of our groups and individuals were present, are present this afternoon to present with us. And all of them have just 10 minutes to present their entire work from start to finish. Here it is. And the first group which will take place and which will have exactly 10 minutes to present is a group that is sadly not here today because of final presentations, but they are here online. And I believe you watching from online have seen them already. So Sean, Yazan, and Mesh, who are online, I invite you to speak up, and
Hello.
I will be the person clicking. So whenever you want me to go ahead, just say click, and I will give you now the floor for your presentation. Sean, Yazan, and Mesh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we are ready. Where can I see the slides? Can we see it as well? Nice. Okay. So hello everyone. Welcome to our final presentation about the blockchain demonstrator web application that we built in the previous month. In this presentation, we would like to share with you the following 5 points. They are our initial situation that we start with, our goals for this project, our findings, things that we implemented, and an advice for future development of this application, and a demo. In the next slide. Yes. In the start, we had in the initial situation, we had only. I think we skipped a slide. Oh no. Okay, that's it. Yeah, in the start we had only an Excel sheet to work with. All the information was in one place. It was the only way to play this game through Excel sheet. So we tried to gather all the information we can to play the game, understand it, make it into user story and stuff we can translate into code, and then we start working on the program. So herefore we have made a plan of actions. Plan of actions is a really important thing to start with, because without the plan of action it will become very difficult to carry out an assignment. It can also lead to misunderstandings with the development team. So to avoid this, this misunderstanding and stuff, we describe everything, the plan, the documents that we are going to use and work, the subjects, the products, the activity that we are going to do, and the working methods in this plan of actions. Next slide.
All right.
Yep.
And on to our goal. The goal we had was to make a web application that will host a beer game within which different types of supply chain can be explained. So for instance, a DLT, which is the blockchain we wanted to explain to the players. Also choose from UProfide and a whole bunch of other options. And through this game, you'll see the benefits or maybe downsides of each supply chain for your current actor. This web application is used inside of workshops, and through explanation and playing the game, we hope to make the attendees at the workshop understand how a blockchain can affect their business. Then on to our findings. To play the game and make it in real time, make it communicate in real time, so players don't have to constantly refresh their browser. We used a method of a library called SignalR, which is supported by Microsoft themselves. This was very great and easy to use. It will do a lot of the setting up, do it automatically. So it took a lot of work out of our hands. Same goes for the automatic database. We used Entity Framework which is a code-first designer of the database. So simply saying when we create a new class or make a new model, it will automatically create a new database for us and update the old one. So this will make sure it doesn't require as much manual labor of us. Then on to the last is the hosting. We tried using the GitHub Actions in unison with Docker to make sure that when new code gets pushed to the GitHub repository, it will automatically be pushed onto the server and run inside a container. So there's little to no manual labor that has to be done to make the server run.
Yes, and then onto the advice. For future development cycles and groups, we want to give out 3 points. The first one of which is the game tuning, because one of the things that we couldn't fully get done was to be able to fully tune the game to where it works efficiently. You can also see it in the picture if you click. There you go. See with the grabs. Ooh, you click the grab, yeah. On the left one, you could see that the balance of the player is going down, but he still is making a lot of profit. So that's one of the things that we want to go into further. The second one is something that we saw ourselves with co-hosting, was to start simple. We started way too advanced at the beginning, which we saw that we couldn't do better by first starting simple. So that's an advice for future groups to maybe take things easier at the beginning and then start to go more advanced. And as the last point of advice I want to give is to map our formats and topics before the development begins. And in our project, we saw that with the All You Need to Know document that you can see here as well. We found that it was very important actually later on because it helped us a lot. So that's definitely a point to take in. On to the next slide. The next slide, we want to show a demo. There will be 3 things that will be shown, which is setting up the site, playing the Guia game, and observing the Guia game. This demo is supposed to show you a bit of a feel of how it feels to set up a game and be able to actually play it and also observe it. So if you start the video, at the bottom, I think there's a there you go. All right, first what we're doing here is we're making an admin account, and here we're going to create a game master and a game to be able to play the game. So you can see here that I click on the game master and I can easily add a game with him. You can see the view game button is not openable yet because the people aren't in the game yet. So that's what I'm going to do next by going for each player. I'm just going to join the game to the home page, and I'm going to give them a name for each one. So I'm going to do this 4 times. And when all players have joined, you can see that the loading screen will go away and the game will start. On the 3rd player and the 4th player are left. What I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to open up the game master function where he can observe the game while the other people are playing it. So I'll be minimizing this window a bit and opening a new one. And there I click on the view game button where you can see the graphs and all of the data that's played out during the game. And on the other screen, I'll just have the game page open, and I'll just send an order. And when it's sent, you can see that it automatically updates the graphs page as well. Now, if I send another order, you can see this more prominently. If you look on the graphs page, that updates automatically as well. So this way, the player can play the game, and also the game master can view them while they're playing it. It's a very important functionality to have for the workshop. That also concludes pretty much everything that we want to talk about in the demo. So thank you for listening to our presentation. If we go back to the presentation, then the only thing that we have left is questions. If there are any.
Thank you very much, guys. Do we have questions from online? We do not. Do we have questions from the audience? We do not. Well, as we are just on time, thank you very much for your time and effort and for your great results. I believe this is the end, right? We can give applauses. This is very well deserved. Well, and thank you then for showing up. I know you have a presentation, final presentation in a few minutes, so yes, good luck for that. I know you will do great. And for the rest, let's move on. And our next presentation is about our Afstudeer student project that worked this semester with us, together with our developer who just presented, and this is Janka. Janka sadly is sitting currently in Hungary, so it was a bit difficult for her to do the commute until our beautiful city of Zwolle. But Janka is sitting online. Are you hearing me, Janka?
Yes, hi.
Very good. Good afternoon. Well, I said already a lot too much, and you have, I think, just about 10 minutes to present everything you want to present. You are free to take more or less of that. No, not more. Less if you want. Well, I will be clicking. Whenever I'm clicking not fast enough, say click. And for the rest, the floor is yours. Do enjoy.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. I am Janka, and I'm going to talk about the blockchain demonstrator's background, because I was the project lead for the guys, the developer team, which you saw already. You can click. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about really the story of the game and what it represents. So we try to do a supply chain simulation game which aims to show the benefits of the distributed ledger techniques. And the game is based on the beer game, which is a distribution game. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it basically try to model a supply chain with 4 actors and a beer supply chain for sure. And basically, they usually try to represent and show the bullwhip effect, which occurs in the supply chain when the order has deficit in it, or maybe some external event happens, like Corona. We use the TradeLens use case for our new scenario, which I will going to talk about in the next slides. You can, yeah. In the beginning, we had a previous version, which was in Google Sheets. You saw in the guys' presentation, it was the initial situation. And this game was really hard to play because the player should pay attention to a lot of Google Sheets. They needed to click to other interfaces, and then the communication between the players were solved by Microsoft Teams. Okay, I don't see the presentation, sorry. Okay, so, sorry.
Do you see it?
Yes, I think I can see it. Yes, thank you. So our scenario is based on the freight management and based on the TradeLens use case, which was focusing on the data flow, because our previous scenario was focused on the data sharing, which was represented by different Google Sheets. And in our scenario, we focused on how to decrease the cost and the lead time, because the use case showed that distributed ledger techniques can reduce cost by 15% and 40% the lead time of the product, which had a huge impact in the supply chains of IBM and Marx corporations. And we try to create a complex supply chain by showing realistic data, by adding the actors, adding the real distances between the actors, like the manufacturer, processor, the retailer, and also adding factors to the game. Okay. So, and the struggles were that implement the different distances to make the game more realistic and try to balance the expenses, because we wanted to show how the different supply chain setups can reduce the costs of a supply chain. And it was really hard to do because try to implement the actors and to add a lot of incomes to it or make profit for the actors. Were really impacted by a lot of expenses we try to implement by the factors. Of course, show the differences between the actors, because the farmers and between the farmer and the retailer, there's a lot of difference because they need other benefits in a supply chain. And of course, to develop a web application, because at the first 2 months, I think I was the one working on the the use case, and we basically just established the background of a possible web application. But our goal was to, you can click, to create the web application and develop it by the end of June or mid-June. You can click. So the development were executed by the students who were Sean, Yazan, and Mace. I was responsible for leading the team, and Maxim was responsible managing us. It was hard to cooperate because I really don't know anything about programming, so I think that was the hardest part, to try to align our knowledge and try to help each other in a way that the project could be successful. And there were limitations, of course. On my part, I don't really know about anything programming, but it turned out fine. And of course, with the developer team, they didn't get a outside programmer, so maybe it was harder to solve the hosting problem, but they did, and actually we made it happen. So the application is ready, and I think we had fun all the way. So the next slide. I'm going to talk about the future of the game, because even though we created the application and it's playable, we need to hand it over to another developer team to make it effective. So we created a developer document, which was created by the guys. What you saw, the everything you need to know document, is about the game logic and the narrative of the game story, and really everything you need to make the workshops happen and put further implementation into the game. Next slide. And our recommendations, I rather say maybe it's mine, but I think it's aligned with the guide. There should be a lot of tuning to really show the benefits of different supply chain setups, and also to show the benefits of the DLTs. I think the next team should look into the game mechanism and to polish the application to make it really smooth to play without any obstacles. The graphs and analytics should be on point, because we're targeting companies and company owners, so they should see and analyze the outcomes of the game. And of course, to make the workshops efficiency even better, to make it at least a 1-hour workshop to be more efficient. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Janka. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions online? I see a no from Tristan. Thank you for your help. Any questions from the live audience? No. Okay, so we will move on. Well, first of all, thank you. Indeed, Janka, thank you, Mes, Sean, and Yazan, for your help within this project, which was not a use case, but indeed an actual game that will help us bring forward, well, what are the potential interests about blockchain on supply chain. So quite crucial in our quest of blockchain exploration. And moving on to our next presentation, which is, I believe, something in the line of Blockstart. I will invite with me on the stage and hand over a microphone to Peter. Yeah, it is now on. Peter?
Thank you. Does it work?
Yeah, it will work in a few seconds. That's
Okay, all right.
that's how those things do.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Peter, I think you will present today for actually two groups, for yourself and for the team of ICT students that worked with you.
Yes.
But enough said by me. I talk too much. The floor is yours.
I will guide you all through this.
Very good.
Project.
You have 15 minutes. You have the clickers.
Just click
Green is forwards, red
right,
is
yes.
backwards. Do enjoy.
Yeah, I will. Yes. Well, imagine a world where sharing certificates in a supply chain is as easy as sending a WhatsApp message to one of you. That will be great, right? Well, last semester, and my team said it already, a student team of TU Delft managed to achieve this convenience, all with the help of blockchain technology. Yes, but why are we here, right? Well, I said it already. Imagine that it's so easy to share a certificate with the ease of blockchain technology. And it is in the supply chain. And what supply chain am I talking about? Well, in the supply chain where we are focusing on right now, there are three main actors. A farmer who grows potatoes, a producer who buys those potatoes to make French fries of it, and also a certification body to certify the farmer on food safety. Well, in the current situation, every farmer who sells the potatoes needs to be certified in order to sell the potatoes to the producer. So the producer must know if a farmer is certified or not. So in some way, the certificates from the certification body to the farmer needs to be shared through the supply chain because the producer must know the certification status. And in the current situation, this process is very old-fashioned, error sensitive, and it doesn't give real-time data inside because when a certification body gives out a certificate to the farmer, the certificate is sent by mail in PDF, and once a month the certification body sends an Excel file with the certification status of the clients of the producer. But even if in that Excel file there are around 100 farmers, so 100 clients of the producer, but the producer has over 400 clients, so the Excel file isn't complete at all. What did we do? We developed a robust and fraud-proof system where digital certificates can be shared, as you can see, on a blockchain. So in base all the downside of the current process I mentioned earlier, error sensitive and old-fashioned, and it doesn't give real-time insight. That's all fixed by this system. And the benefit of this system is that it's scalable. And what do I mean with that? The current supply chain consists out of only one certificate body, one producer, and one farmer. And with this new network, the network can expand it with more farmers, more certification bodies, and more producers. And when there are more of those peers, participants in a network, the network gets more valuable. So we're talking about a network effect. But well, you asked, what does that application look like? I will give a demo right now, and I will guide you through it. Yes, here you see the interface of the certification body. It can give out new certificates, as happens right here. It has also upper left can make new farmers and new certificates, and it can oversee the current list of certificates. Yes, this certificate is probably given out yesterday and it's valid until tomorrow. So very short certificate. And it's for Farmer de Jong. Very important, the number, the URL to the certificate. It's just now default website, and you have 3 options here: issued. So yes, the certificate is now created. Okay, and now we are moving on, I think, to the producer interface. Yes. And you can see the new certificate which is made is also in the system of the producer. So that's what I mean with real-time insight. Within seconds, it's familiar in the whole supply chain, and even the farmer can see his new certificate, which is valid. I think that was it. Yes. So what does this mean, and what kind of consequences does it have? Well, as I said, the certification body sends once a month an Excel file with all the certification statuses of the farmers. And in the worst case, the producer who needs that list to buy certified potatoes has data which is 4 weeks old, and that's, well, not that sufficient for producer in potatoes, and producer needs real-time data insight. And as you saw in the demo, this application provides real-time data insight. And what does this mean even more? It saves administration for the farmers, for example. Now the certifications are sent by email, and the farmers need to store them physically or print it out, which gives them a whole pile of paperwork, and it doesn't that doesn't need to be there anymore, because it's all in the application. Also, the internal inconsistencies are eliminated. Around 7% of all the certificates are rejected for the farmers due to internal inconsistencies at the certification body. So the farmer has the right for a certificate, but is rejected outside his own fault. That's crazy, right? And the risk of fraud is eliminated, because it's on the blockchain, and the blockchain is fraud-proof. So fraud with certificates can't happen anymore. And as I just proved, there is real-time data insight, so it achieves a lot of efficiency, because there is no need anymore for making expensive reports for this by the certification body, which is sent out for free by to the producer. So that saves a ton of money, and the producer, who has incomplete Excel file from the producer, don't need to find out manually the certification status of the farmers, because it's all on the app. So it saves a ton of money there also. So outside the efficiency, it's quite some money that's to be saved here. And I want to thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you can ask them now. There aren't any questions online. Do you have any questions? Neither do they.
I think I can thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your time.
I would give it back to you.
Yeah, and maybe we can give you a round of applause, actually, because this was a very great work. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you very much for your time. So this was a very good example of, oh, not yet. A very good example of what a use case is by the Spark Living Lab. Talking a bit for those of you watching from online, we like to have groups of students working together from different grounds. Peter was absolutely not from ICT as well, but with a huge interest in blockchain, and was very well able to work with and guide and help and create something together with some ICT students from Delft, and they came up with this blockchain application, which is pretty freaking amazing to my standards. Well, to other people with a lot higher standards relating blockchain. Moving on, and actually well on time. So this is great. This means that the future groups will be able to take more time if they want a bit. We are moving away from block cert, we are moving away from certifications, and we are moving towards cold chains. So cold chains, they are present everywhere in supply chain. Whenever you have something in your fridge, this was transported to you via some kind of a cold chain. And the few students that you are about to see, it's 3 different groups. They all worked in some part of our use case, which is named conditioned good. And the first one is our research project. So Halil, Bilge, and Caroline, I will invite you all on stage. I have a hand microphone there. Which I will hand over to Caroline. Or Bilge first. That's good with me. I will invite you all to come on stage right now. Come on, chop, chop, chop. Who wants the second microphone? Halil, Caroline, don't fight. Thank you very much. I will hand over the clicker to someone. Caroline, very good. I will invite you all to come and stand on the magic carpet for great presentations. You have about, I think, 10 minutes, a bit more if you like. You also have a final presentation of some kind at 4:30, so take your time. And well, the floor is yours. Let us know what you did. Let us know what are your results.
Hi everyone, my name is Bilge and my team members Caroline and Halil. Today we are going to talk about the feasibility study of blockchain. This project is basically about giving concrete proof of data, temperature data. As you can see here, Lambeston produced French fries and DLG is the transportation site to the cold store. Cold store is in Lineage. For this delivery way, the temperature data is not certain and secure enough. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to make it more transparent and secure. Basically, we are trying to put some sensors to the system and connect to the blockchain. As in this way, parties can access the data and it will be more transparent and secure.
After that, we also search about the legal study. So the Netherlands will be the global frontrunner for implementation blockchain technology. So it's also emerging market for healthcare, financial study, and financial technology and the trade and finance. In our use case, it will be so seamless for implementing blockchain, and also it seems legal for the companies, for DLG and Lineage and Lambeston, because the Dutch government and the financial authorities so open-minded and enthusiastic about research for blockchain technology. So our advice and opinion is to totally implement, and also for smart contracts, the laws for the contract is both apply. So it will be, it seems legal to implement the technology.
The technical study starts with the measurement of the temperature. Initially, in the company, it's made by hand. So the principle in this project is to use sensors, and we made 3 classification of sensors with data loggers that measure and store the data, and classical and smart sensors for monitoring. We advise more smart sensors because they are an upper version of classical sensors that need less devices, thanks to the hardware integrated that allow this system to communicate itself, to be remoted on control, and to make his own maintenance. And why we advise it? Because in case of growth, it will be easier to manage, and it will support the growth also.
Now I will talk about blockchain and database. Blockchain, what is blockchain? First of all, blockchain is peer-to-peer decentralized distributed ledger. And what is database? Database is centralized ledger which stores data in a structured way, and it's managed by administrator. There is some differences between of these two, and for instance, innovation and verification is the base of the blockchain, but this kind of new technology can affect the speed. If some of the projects, if the speed is important, they should use the traditional database. But in our use case, our aim is concrete, having a concrete proof of temperature data. That's why blockchain is pertinent for us. But there is some obstacle due to the lack of maturity. For instance, finding an expert is a little bit difficult, and that's why it affects the cost and salary also. And the third problem is maintenance. Maintenance is directly affect the system. That's why it's really important to control it. And if there is a problem in maintenance, there can be a more slower system. Based on this research, we are advising to have their companies to their own proof of concept. In this way, they can see their risks, what they want exactly, and they can manage the system easily in this way. And after this proof of concept, they can make a sample of the blockchain. After this sample, they can see what kind of risks are becoming real, and if there is any other risks they didn't see before, they can see in the sample. After that, they can make the bigger version for whole chain. It's the end of the technical part.
We move on with the operational part. The project will require times of work, materials, and human resources. The company will have to prevent for maintenance for servers and sensors, reverse logistic for the sensors, and human resources to ensure the maintenance. So we are sure that the transformation of the process will be a trustworthy proof for the dispute management, thanks to the transparency and temperature monitoring. And to this, we can add an efficiency in the billing and the transportation processes, because it will bring efficiency and savings on the consuming of electricity, thanks to the monitoring of temperature. So these two potential gain can be contested by elements of reserve, and we have to make the experimentation in order to see the real effects of blockchain and clarify the rules of collaboration and also the needs for the company.
Our last study will be financial, and as you imagine, a cost of blockchain technology, it's hard to say some concrete numbers for it, and it all depends on what blockchain type you use, what platform you use, and also complexity and app features, etc. So that's why we put some parameters like consulting, designing, development, quality, and maintenance. And we all assume that implementation of technology will take 95 days, approximately 3 months. And within these 3 months, we also work with like 1 developer and 4 specialists So the cost of the specialists are in the slide for 3 months. You can click. And for the developer cost for the basic hour, the cost for 95 days will be in the 76,000. So we take this parameter for development cost. It also takes in the slide for expert cost and the developer cost. And for the maintenance cost, it's for server and maintenance cost. We are assuming that all 3 companies take 14 servers in total. So for one server, we also assume for 10,000 euro per server in 1 year. So the maintenance cost will be 140,000 per year. So we also calculate the maintenance cost like this. So we click this. So if we calculate maintenance and development cost, the other cost will in the graph. So in total, our project will be costing 507,000 euro per year. For return of investment, we can also wondering like how many years we get our money like in profit. So we assume that 150 euro per year this annual cost, and after 4 years the price will be getting profit. So last but not least, as my teammates mentioned before slides, our sensor. So we also want to mention about the sensor prices, like single-use sensor and classic sensors here. So that's are the cost of the sensors.
And to conclude, the transparency and security brought by blockchain and sensors will be pertinent in this project because they answer to the stakeholders' needs. However, there are uncertainties, and at this state of the project, we are not sure of certain informations. So we will be able to make the study feasible after further studies on the measurement, the gains, the savings, and also after precise needs for the companies. Thank you for your attention. And yeah, have you got a question?
Thank you very much indeed. Any questions from the live audience? None. Any questions from the here in the room audience? Neither. You don't want to get questions afterwards, right? That's what I get. All right. Thank you very much for your work. Thank you very much for your great and spreaded effort. It was a very long study which you led to a very interesting point. And you can give me your mics or put them here. Put them here. It will be good. I invite you to join your chairs back. The microphones will not fall. Very good. So this was it for the research project. Thank you again. The research project was but one part of the conditioned good effort this semester. We had someone else that worked, and this was an afstuderen student. So in the same line than Janka or Peter that you have seen both online and offline. So I invite here right now Suber, which will give a presentation about his afstuderen project.
Yes, thank you.
And actually, without further ado, yeah, the floor is yours. Have fun.
Yes,
try to stay on the carpet. It's the magical carpet, and try to have the mic next to your mouth. It helps better than further away.
All right. Thank you all for being here. First of all, it's a real pleasure to see you guys for the first time actually in I don't know how long, maybe 6 months since the start of this project. So I'm very grateful to see you guys, and I would like to present my afstuderen project for the conditioned good use case for Spark Living Lab. I will be taking 10 minutes of your time. This is the following table of content. We have the introduction, background, central question, analysis, the solution and findings, advice, and future research, and the questions will follow afterwards. Then a short introduction, of course, because I'm not from the Windesheim University. I'm a graduate student from the Hogeschool Rotterdam. My name is Hubert Vadax. I'm following the major logistic management, and I'm 22 years old in Rotterdam, and I live in Rotterdam. How I came into contact with Spark Living Lab was through Miss Clara Paardenkoper. She introduced me to Maxime, and everything followed. My main occupation was to conduct research basically for the conditions good use case, as well as having a leading role for the research team of logistic engineers, Halil, Bilge, and Caroline. It was a real pleasure. I will be moving on to the background. The background is, about formulating the problem, and it will be about supply chain of LabWestern, DLG, and Lineage. It's a cold chain, basically. And their cold chain is in traditional supply chain. The main problem is regards to the fact that the products sometimes don't arrive at the right temperature, or hypothetically speaking, then, which has effects on the costs. It will create more. You have to put more effort in order to get the products cold again, and yeah, it's less efficient, of course. So LabWestern initially approached Spark Living Lab to ask what could the application of blockchain technology mean for the situation. Well, to shortly introduce, like the students did before, blockchain is an online distributed ledger, basically, and that has a lot of possibilities for application in your supply chain, of course. So that's what I would research. Then from this problem, I revised the central question and goal, and that's regarding how the application of blockchain technology could improve the cold chain of LabWestern. And then in terms of the four different aspects, there will be transparency, traceability, security, and sustainability as well. And this will all be transformed into a universal format for small to medium-sized enterprises. Then I also have on the right-hand side some sub-questions that will stimulate this for this common goal. Then for the first time, me and Maxime went to LabWestern and Lineage. Then we formalized the basic form of LabWestern and DLG and Lineage. The first thing that we basically knew was that there was some issues with the reliability and validity of the temperature of the data, and also a lack of transparency and some inefficiencies. From these things that we noticed, we actually revised some bottlenecks, and from these bottlenecks, certain risks were also attached to it, with the reasoning therefore as well. So the thing that I did in a few months was researching what blockchain could mean. So, for example, the advantages, the disadvantages, the technicalities of smart contracts and zero knowledge proof, and what this could basically mean for this situation. Well, the situation is also basically based on the future perspective, because as it stands now, if I go a slide back, there isn't much opportunity for the product to get warmer, except for the area where loading is happening, because the ambient temperature does affect the product, because it's an ambient room basically. But they will revise this in November, I think, and the products will go directly from the cold storage into the truck, so that there won't be opportunity for products to get warmer, basically. So therefore, it's an hypothetical scenario. These risks also have been made from a future perspective. The associated risks from the previous slide have been put in a risk assessment chart, and I also made a potential new situation basically for how these risks can be mitigated when the application of blockchain has been made happen. Then these solutions and findings can also be applied for different branches, such as the pharmaceutical branch, the florist and floriculture branch, the fruit and vegetable branch. For these branches, blockchain could also be applied in the same scenario as for LabWestern, because they all have something similar, and that's called the cold chain, basically. However, there are also some risks when you implement blockchain. These are, for example, the government regulations. Blockchain in the Netherlands can mean a different blockchain for outside of the Netherlands, such as in Europe or somewhere else. Then you have bootstrapping as well, because some, and that entails basically what you actually transport activities that you currently do to blockchain. So how do you fix that? Basically, how do you fix that? And you also have behavioral change. Customers and stakeholders need to get adjusted in order to use blockchain efficiently. So therefore, I also, with the help of 4 different questions, revised how SMEs when SMEs should be able to apply blockchain technology. Also, for the solution findings, I've made for SMEs a blockchain platform project, which entails how many years / months it will take for a general company in order to implement blockchain successfully. I also made a cost structure with the rule of thumb of different aspects such as maintenance, quality assurance, counseling, designing, and development. And I also developed the return on investment period to visualize how fast companies can actually get their money back when having applied blockchain technology. Then the advice and future research. I've also made a roadmap for implementation. The logical thing would be to make a proof of concept, of course, and that will be with the following steps of define a minimum value ecosystem, the develop functional and technical architecture, and select the different blockchain stacks. This includes the internet layer, the blockchain layer, and application layer, of course. And then with a lot of building and testing, this can be done successfully. For Labest itself, I would advise to digitalize a lot of current activities. At the moment, a lot of things are done manually, such as processing the temperature of the data, and basically everything is written down on a sheet of paper. I would also advise for future research on the possibility of IoT devices and research on blockchain applicability for other branches. This was my presentation. Thank you for listening. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. Super. Are there any questions before you hand over your microphone? None online, none offline either. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort and for your work. So, well, this is actually almost it. We are almost there. Just a few words about this last presentation. It is very interesting to see that even from a point of view of a study group, our students were able to actually find some actual values, prices, how do you say, averages of how it could, what could be the actual costs, what could it mean to implement blockchain. And even though we could argue that those values will probably be changing a lot, maybe, it is, I think, a very good to give an idea of, okay, what will it actually take for an SME? And when trying to bring clarification of what are the ins and outs of blockchain for an SME, this is very interesting work. So great job on this, guys. And now to finalize with this conditioned goods project, we will invite only Tim. Only Tim is joining. Okay, very good. Tim, I invite you to join me on stage. Tim was the team leader of the ICT team that worked with us developing an actual blockchain web application in relation with the conditioned goods project. I invite you to stand in the middle, more or less. You're able to move, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
Mic close to mouth. With the clicker.
With the clicker. Yes.
And as we are just on time, you have about 10 minutes-ish.
Yeah, sure.
Do enjoy.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'll talk about our project, with the supply chain, the conditioned goods use case. Let's see if it works. Yes, so this is the opening. Our project was just like the other few projects, was with the conditioned goods use case. And there are a few points I will talk about in this presentation. The first one is what's the use case? I will go through that quite quickly because the others also already explained this one. Then what our goal and assignment was for this project. Then we have a small demo and then some remarks and possible improvements. And based on this one, we have some advice. Well, okay, so the use case for us was the cold chain between Lamweston and Lineage, which is the cold store. The transport between these two parties was done by DLG. They provide the cooled trucks. This chain was in fact the cold chain because it was about the pre-fried fries that were freezed to -14, I believe, and then transported. In this case, we had the sensors in the truck that that provided the data that had to be put into a blockchain to provide insight and monitor possible agreements between parties. Another aspect of this was that possible cold breaks could take place. That's why those contracts were very important to check. Well, now the question would be, why would you use the blockchain? Well, it provides data integrity because once you put the data into the blockchain, it's really hard to actually change. So it would you provide data that can't be really changed, and thus it can prove the contracts you have with others. Next to that, you have the transparency. All parties in this case, so Lamweston, DLG, and Lineage, are in the blockchain and have access to the data. So they can all see what the data is like, and also see if any contracts are adhered or not. Another function of these sensors is that they have GPS. So you could also gain some track and trace from, how do you say this? You could gain some track and trace from the sensors, which also provides some more insight. And next to that, you can have some automatic escrow because of the I forgot the name, but the smart contracts in the blockchain. The smart contracts can work automatically when values come in. So and that way they can work as automatic escrows. So all these things are benefits when using the blockchain. Okay, so the next question was, how does it work now if you want to implement? Well, at first we have built the whole network and made scripts. So the first thing you would like to do is deploy the network to work correctly, of course. And this will include all the parties and agreements you have between those parties. Next up is you add a shipment to the blockchain using the build interface, which we have a demo of shortly, and then add sensors to that shipment also using the interface. And next to that, you can send the shipment because when it's added, it will start collecting data, basically. Okay. We already had that one. Wrong button. Okay, so basically the question is, what does it do now? It validates the SLA. Okay, so it validates the SLA right now. It provides the data integrity because of the blockchain. Oh man, this is annoying. I forgot to turn off the auto skip, so it skips every time it loads. Oh. Okay. And it provides some insight into the data. That's what it does right now. It skips now on the right time. And well, but now's the question, what have we built the whole project? Well, we built the blockchain and the infrastructure on which it runs. So we built the whole network with Docker containers in this case, and every party has a few Docker containers which are in the blockchain and provide the different functionalities needed for the working blockchain. Next to that, we made it possible to add sensors. We weren't able to try this yet because we did not have enough time, unfortunately. But the possibility is there to add sensors to the blockchain, and we know we can add the data. So it should work theoretically. We haven't been able to check that yet. Another part is that the smart contracts made in the blockchain work. We have tried with different values, and they give back the expected results. So with these contracts, you can check the data, as I explained earlier. Another thing we built is the interface. So that's the way you interact with the blockchain, because, well, not everyone writes code. So it's easy to have an interface which with everyone can interact. So every party can see the shipments, the data, and add data and shipments. Oh, that's the back button. Yes. Okay. Then we have a small demo of what the interface looks like and how you add a shipment and add sensors to this shipment. I hope this starts playing. Yes, there it goes. So the idea is, here we have a list of the shipments, and then we add a shipment here and put in an ID. In this case, the test shipment. We add it, and now we have a temperature graph, and we can add sensors. Sensors are now, one sensor is now added. Now the second sensor is added, but no temperature data is in right now. So now we can see it in the list and also search for the shipment we just made. So you can search for different shipments. Well, so the idea is you can see it on screen yet, but we put in some, well, fake data and say it was -500. This is of course way too far below the lowest point you want to freeze something. And actually outside of the service level agreement we set in this blockchain. So the service level of, sorry, the smart contract will start, will react on this. And I hope we can see that shortly. No. Okay, as you can see, there's another -500, and you can see that the values right there. There's the shipment again, and now it gives a graph. And because it was that low, in this case, we set in some -40 also, it gives an email to a specific email address, which provides some information that the, well, in this case, test shipment, so the ID, has had a weird reading or a reading outside of the temperature range set. So that's how the interface works. So I hope you got a bit of an idea how to work with the interface now. Well, some remarks, some things we found during the project is that, well, in this case, we used Hyperledger Fabric as platform for our blockchain. This platform was new to everyone in the project group and was quite extensive. There's lots of documentation, which is fine, but the only thing is what wasn't that nice is that it was all single host. So you can imagine we run multiple instances on multiple servers on between different parties involved, but the documentation we had was only for one server actually. So to get it working was quite a hassle, let's say, because we had to try. It was all done by trial and error basically, and the help of some GitHub and Internet Fora. Another thing was that Hyperledger Fabric gives some unclear errors back when building the blockchain. So when something went wrong, it was hard to find what was actually the problem in Hyperledger Fabric or what did we do incorrectly. So it was hard to fix it actually. Another one was that Hyperledger Fabric is a community driven project, but not really. There's some bigger companies involved, like IBM, and there are some rumors that IBM might pull the plug. So they want to withdraw from the project because they are the main source. Let's say that's quite a problem. So this might be a problem if you want to build something for also long term or the future. Another thing we found is that chain code samples are quite available. They can be found quite a lot on GitHub and stuff, and that provided some nice help. And then some possible improvements. Ooh, that doesn't look too good. We had some improvements on the design we have built right now. Is that we have, for example, software error logging. Some errors are not logged that nicely and it's hard to find. Then we have some query operators we still have in. This might be a bit technical, but the database does not work that nice with query operators. So that an advice would be to get a better fitting solution for that. Also to use an off-chain database, so a database that stores some states outside of the database to not interfere with the transactions in the blockchain. So the transactions will go as smoothly as possible. Also include some access control in the chain code, because it's now implemented in the infrastructure, but not that fully in access control. And then for another thing was using the interface. You have to put in manually the IDs and sensors, but this could also be done by using RFID or barcodes, which would make it a lot more, let's say, fault proof, because, well, typing a 2 or 1 is quite easy, but if you mess up, then it's the wrong shipment. And scanning an RFID code or barcode would make sure this always goes correctly. After that, we could use some metadata to the chain code to validate. So this would also be nice. And then we could have some caching for the API to improve the performance, because it now has to take data out of the blockchain every time, which is a bit unnecessary. Okay, so we go to the advice we have. The biggest advice would be that using the blockchain really depends on the use case. We found that the Hyperledger Fabric network was very hard to set up. And if you want to use Hyperledger Fabric, you could, but it really depends. If you only want the insight and the temperature data, location data, you could probably use a normal database for better performance and faster implementation. Yeah, that's also why the Hyperledger Fabric knowledge needed is advised, because if you want to use the platform like we did and you have no experience with blockchain or Hyperledger Fabric, it's quite hard to implement. Yeah, the another one was to use a platform, maybe another platform than Hyperledger Fabric, because as it's very big, you can and very extensive and quite a hassle to work with. You could use some other platform, which we unfortunately did not really research. And if you want to build on Hyperledger Fabric, the best thing would be to use our proof of concept and improve it with the things we just said, because then it would work like it should with all the needed parts. Yeah, I believe that's it. And then a small thing, who is the team? Because I'm here on podium, but you can see everyone. So our team consisted of Berat, Gerard, Sjoerd, and Thijs, and of course me. and 3 of the students were infrastructure students and 2 were software engineers. And that's basically it, I believe. So thanks everyone.
Thank you very much, Tim, for your very good work and very great development. Is there any question? I took the mic from yours already. Questions online? Oh, there's one question online. All right. Well, I give you back the mic.
Amazing.
What is the question?
Did you? So I know personally how much you struggled in this project because I worked very closely with your team, and I actually had to help you many times. Did you enjoy your struggles in this?
How do you mean? Did I enjoy my struggle?
Would you? Yeah. Well, so in another way of saying it, would you recommend other students or young entrepreneurs, young researchers, to go through a similar track and have the same experience?
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't. Maybe if you have some experience with Hyperledger Fabric and you could use our demo, then yes, but otherwise, no.
Did you learn a lot?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
Are you happy that you're at the end?
Yes, also.
Okay, well, sir, I will start asking because I'm probably out of time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you for your work. Thank you to all of you guys for your work, of course. Well, you're free to go upstairs because I don't think we have other questions. We are about there actually, and as Victor left us, the closure of that will be left to Christian, which just asked a question, and myself. Christian, if you are still there.
Yeah.
I hear you very well. Well, we have 10 minutes. No, not 10 minutes. We have like, let's say 7-8 minutes. Let's share it in 2, more or less. Do you want to start?
Yeah, first, we forgot to clap for the last team.
Sorry?
We forgot to clap for the last team.
We didn't clap? Sorry.
No!
We did clap. We clapped before. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, okay, then what? Okay. Well, I was very proud with that. Okay, anyway. So now that we're at the end, I can say with very much pride that we all, yeah.
No, just speak up, but it's okay, go ahead.
I can say with very much pride of the journey we have taken together. I really enjoyed that. I've gotten to know a lot of you on a personal level even. It saddens for me to let you go now. So I would like to say that this is the moment that you stop being my students and you continue on. You break out your wings and you fly away. But I would hope that you would remember this time that you had here, and that as you start your life and you go into companies, that you do not forget us, and that I will see you again. This does not need to be the end.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much indeed. I agree very much with Chris. This is just the beginning. I am immensely proud of all of your works. For those of you who presented here today, those who were online, but also those who couldn't make it for different reasons, exams, final presentations, and so on and so forth. You did an amazingly great work. You managed to work together to understand what we wanted from you and make some clarity of it, because it was maybe not as crystal clear as it should have been for you at the beginning. You made some sense of it. You learned, you tried, all of you have gone out of your comfort zone, because as you might have seen, the last group, for example, learned about Hyperledger Fabric and actually as well about blockchain development, which was not something they knew about. The group before the ICT group from BlockCert also didn't have any experience with blockchain development. Is that correct, Peter? So also completely beginners in that. The same for our blockchain demonstrator team, who had no experience in hosting but still tried and still went very far. All of them, by the way, almost self-standing, trying hard and really getting there. All of our research groups, thumbs up to make sense of the situation where you were, to try to bring a common understanding of where we are in the use case, what is the actual interest of having blockchain there, and for the App Studio, what is the actual potential for other similar projects. You did a great job. You are adding a lot to SMEs, blockchain, supply chain fields. So thumbs up for that. I can swear right now that we will be using your work. And I can tell you that you're all welcome back for a future commitment. Would you be open for it, obviously? And for the ones watching us online, thank you for watching. This is about all that we had scheduled. Well, this is the final slides. You probably know it if you've joined some other of our presentations. This is obviously not the end of the lab. We are working and we are going to have a few new use cases, or we are going to continue our work on our use cases based on the advice of most of the students there. And we will have new use case. We will keep exploring. So would you be watching from your home today or in a week? Do not hesitate to reach out. We are findable somewhere online, LinkedIn, via the website, wherever you like. And Chris, do you have a last word?
Last word to end on top of that.
No, I will say some other things afterwards, but I need to load something. So do you want to say something last? Simple question.
Well, there's an ending song in the chat, but besides from that, no. you'll have the final word.
Thank you very much. And before closing, actually, because I think today you were 4, 6, 7 presenting on the stage. You were 4 presenting online, which via my great mathematics skills make you 11. But this is not all of you guys. We had actually 28 different students in groups, individuals working for us this semester. Some of them couldn't make it, and we therefore didn't add all of their work there, but it will be available online upon asking. And just because I don't have such memory, I would like to thank right now, in one single breath maybe, Janka, Peter, Sober, Halil, Caroline, Bilge, Sjoerd, Team Thijs, Gerard, Berat, Wouter, Douwe, Suzanne, Jeroen, Dorgan, Nick, Jurmen, Bart, Albert, Lotte, Marnik, Jaap, Angela, Rutger, Mes, Yazan, and Sean. Thank you very much for your work. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for trusting us, and thank you for your effort and what you added to Spark, our lectorate, and the supply chain field in general. I think that this is it. Unless Chris has something else to add, this will be our closure and right before 5, so we are on time. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for coming and presenting. And until next semester, bye-bye.